On a blind date, a wealthy oil magnate sees a woman counting just $5, but his unexpected reaction reveals secrets that could change everything. The restaurant buzzed with chatter. Crystal sat at a small table, her fingers nervously counting the crumpled $5 bill. She glanced around. The dim lights highlighted the glossy decor. Couples laughed, clinked glasses, and shared secrets. Across the restaurant, Victor Kane entered. He was tall, dressed in a tailored suit that screamed power. The air shifted when he walked in. Heads turned. He owned half the city's oil wells, and everyone knew it. His eyes scanned the room, sharp and calculating. He often got what he wanted, and tonight he wanted a good time. Crystal barely noticed him. She was too busy with her $5. She sighed softly. Not much for a date. Would this guy even show up? The door swung open and a gust of wind swept through. The waiter approached. "Miss, are you waiting for someone?" Before she could reply, Victor was at her side. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, his voice deep and smooth. She looked up, surprised. No." She quickly stuffed the bill into her pocket. "I'm just waiting." Victor smiled, his eyes glinting. Waiting for what? The right guy? He slid into the chair, his presence confident and commanding. Crystal hesitated, feeling small. "I guess you could say that." "Well?" He leaned in slightly. "I'm right here. Let's skip the awkward chit-chat. What do you do?" Crystal took a breath. "I'm a waitress. Not that exciting." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Exciting isn't always the goal. Sometimes it's about survival." They locked eyes, a spark igniting. She wasn't sure if it was fear or thrill. Whatever it was, she felt something shift. She leaned forward, ready to challenge him. "And what about you? Just an oil tycoon?" Victor smirked, a hint of danger in his gaze. "More than that. I control the oil, but I'm looking for something real." He paused. "What's your story?" Crystal opened her mouth, ready to speak, but then she hesitated. The air crackled with tension. She sensed this was the moment that could change everything. One move would change everything. Crystal took a deep breath. "My story, not much to tell, really. Just trying to pay bills." Victor leaned back, crossing his arms. "Bills can weigh you down. What if I offered you a deal?" "A deal?" She raised an eyebrow. "What kind of deal?" He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. Victor leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "I need someone to keep an eye on my business, someone with unique perspective." He paused. "In exchange, I could help you with your finances." She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. Crystal frowned. "You want me to spy for you? Why me?" He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. "Because you're sharp. You see things others don't." He gestured around the restaurant. "And you're tough. I like that." Her heart raced. Was this a game? "This isn't what I expected on a date." She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact, neither blinked. "Forget the date." He waved his hand. "This isn't about that. This is business. You help me, I help you. Simple." Crystal hesitated. The stakes felt too high. "What's the catch?" Victor smiled, his eyes glinting with mischief. "No catch, just a contract. If you're in, we'll both benefit." She leaned back, considering. "And if I say no, then you go back to counting your little bills." He shrugged. "No harm done." The challenge in his voice pushed her. "What's the risk for you?" "I'm not the one at risk here," he grinned, "but I'll make it worth your while. You could be more than just a waitress." Crystal looked at him, weighing her options. This felt bigger than her. Could she really trust him? "I need time to think." "Take your time." He smiled, but there was something darker behind it. "Just know, not many people get this chance." Crystal felt the tension rise. What if she said yes? What if she said no? The thrill of the unknown made her pulse quicken. "Okay, I'm listening. What's next?" But this was only the start. The tension hung between them like a thick fog. Crystal crossed her arms, refusing to back down. I don't need saving, Victor. I'm not looking to be anyone's pawn. Victor leaned back, the confidence never leaving his face. I'm not asking you to be a pawn. I'm offering you a chance. Why not see it that way? She narrowed her eyes. A chance or a trap? You're a businessman. I'm just a waitress. He chuckled softly. You underestimate yourself. You have skills. He nodded, leaning closer. You know the city better than I do. That counts for something. I can't just jump into this, she shot back, feeling the heat rise in her chest. You make it sound easy. Victor tilted his head, studying her. What makes you think it's easy for me? I'm risking something too. Crystal swallowed hard, her heart racing. And what is it you're risking? You're the oil king. You can replace me in a heartbeat. He frowned, his expression hardening. That's not the point. I want someone I can trust. Someone who won't back down when things get tough. Trust? You don't even know me. She leaned closer, challenging him. This is all about you, not me. Victor leaned in even more, their faces just inches apart. It's about both of us. If you play your cards right, you could walk away with more than just a paycheck. She hesitated, feeling the mix of anger and intrigue. You think you can just charm your way into my life? He smirked, a glint of amusement in his eyes. I know I can, but charm only goes so far. I can make this worth your while. Crystal felt the pull, a dangerously strong attraction intertwined with her pride. And if I say no? She asked defiantly. Victor leaned back slightly, his gaze unwavering. Then you'll miss out on something big, but I'll respect your choice. The air crackled, and for a moment neither of them moved. Someone was listening in the dark. Crystal shifted in her seat, her instincts screaming at her. Okay, let's get one thing straight. If I do this, I have my rules. Victor raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Rules? You're not even in yet. She pressed on, her voice steady. I'm serious. No threats, no intimidation. If you think you can push me around, forget it. Victor chuckled, but his eyes stayed sharp. Fair enough. But you'll need to understand the stakes. He leaned back, his tone shifting. If you keep your end of the deal, I'll make sure nothing happens to you. But if you betray me, he let the words hang in the air. You won't like the consequences. That sounds like a threat, she countered, steel in her voice. I'm not afraid of consequences. I've dealt with tougher things in my life. Victor nodded, impressed. That's good. Fear can be useful, but so can loyalty. Know the difference. Crystal relaxed slightly. Okay, loyalty, I can do that, but what if I find something I shouldn't? Then you bring it to me, he said, his gaze steady. You don't act on your own. This is my business, my rules. She frowned, trying to read him. And if I find something that puts me in danger, you think I'd just sit back and wait for you to save me? Victor leaned in again, his voice low and serious. You're smart. You'll know when to walk away. But if things get messy, don't hesitate to call me. I'll protect my investment. Just don't play both sides or you'll regret it. Crystal felt a chill run down her spine. So if I say yes, I'm all in? Exactly, he replied, a sly smile forming. But remember, boundaries exist for a reason. Don't cross them, and we'll get along just fine. Crystal considered his words, a thrill running through her. Could she really trust him? Fine, I'll think about it, she said, holding his gaze. But don't think I'll be your pawn. Victor leaned back, amused. I wouldn't dream of it, but just know the offer stands. Decide wisely. The conversation hung in the air, the weight of their choices heavy. The next hit was closer than they knew. Crystal shifted in her seat, feeling Victor's eyes on her. Why do you even need me? She asked, crossing her arms. You've got money, power. You can hire anyone. Victor leaned back, a confident smirk on his face. True. But money can't buy loyalty. I need someone I trust. She considered his words. Trust. You don't even know me. He leaned in closer, the tension thick in the air. That's the point, Crystal. I want to know you. You're sharp, and I appreciate that. She narrowed her eyes. Flattery won't get you far. He chuckled softly. It's not flattery if it's true. But let's not play games. Show me you're as tough as you say. She felt a fire ignite within her. Tough? Okay, what do you want me to do? Victor leaned back, assessing her. Start with keeping your eyes open. Watch who comes and goes around my company. You'll see things I can't. Crystal nodded slowly. And what's my reward? Rewards can be whatever you want, he replied, his gaze unwavering. Money, freedom, maybe even a little adventure. Crystal raised an eyebrow, feeling the stakes climb. Adventure? Sounds risky. He smiled knowingly. Life is risk, but with risks come rewards. Just like this moment, she felt a mix of excitement and caution. And what if I say I'm not interested? Victor leaned in closer, his voice low. Then you stay a waitress, counting your bills. But deep down, I think you want more. She bristled, refusing to show weakness. Is that your game, testing me? It's not a game, it's reality, he replied, leaning back again. You have potential, don't waste it. Crystal fought the urge to give in. I won't be pressured. I'll decide on my own terms. Victor smirked, clearly entertained. I wouldn't expect anything less. But remember, in this world, power is everything. The challenge hung between them, electric. Crystal felt her pulse quicken. Fine, I'll think about your offer, but don't think I'll just roll over. Victor leaned forward, his eyes locked onto hers. I wouldn't dream of it. But be careful. In this game, the line between power and seduction can get blurry. The air was thick with tension as they both understood. The real game had just begun. He thought he was in control. He wasn't. The gala was in full swing. Crystal stepped into the grand ballroom, her heart racing. The place was buzzing with laughter and chatter. Crystal scanned the room, searching for Victor. She spotted him across the crowd, dressed in a sharp black suit. He was talking to a group of men, his presence commanding attention. She walked over, trying to blend in. As she approached, Victor turned and smiled. There you are, he said, his voice low. You look great. Crystal forced a smile. Thanks. What's going on? He gestured around the room. Just some business. You ready for your first lesson in the big league? He kept his voice low, careful with each word. Say it straight, he said. No games. A small silence cut the tension. Before she could respond, one of the men turned to her. So you're the one Victor's been talking about? He said, eyeing her with interest. Careful, he doesn't usually share his secrets. Victor chuckled. She's not a secret, Marco. She's my eyes and ears. You should respect that. The man raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. She answered fast, then fell quiet. I'm not afraid, she replied. Not tonight. He chose the next words with care. The atmosphere shifted as a hush fell over the crowd. The auction was about to start. Victor leaned closer to Crystal. Stick close to me. I need you to watch. She nodded, her stomach twisting with nerves. The auctioneer stepped up, his voice booming. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special item tonight. He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. Crystal watched as the item was brought out. A rare painting. Victor's expression hardened. I've heard rumors about this piece. Keep your ears open. She swallowed hard. What are the rumors? He shook his head. Not here, just focus. She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact. Neither blinked. As the bidding began, Crystal felt the tension rise. She noticed Victor's hand subtly inching toward hers. Suddenly, he intertwined their fingers, a small but unexpected gesture. The warmth spread through her. You're in this with me, remember? He whispered. She met his gaze, both surprised and intrigued. The stakes were getting higher. The night was far from over. The next hit was closer than they knew. Crystal's eyes darted around the room, trying to focus on the auction. Victor was beside her, his presence grounding. But inside she felt the familiar twist of anxiety. Memories of the past bubbled up, uninvited. What's wrong? Victor asked, his voice low. He must have noticed her tension. "You look pale." He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. She shook her head, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, just a lot going on." But her mind was racing. The last time she'd felt this way was in the hospital, waiting for news about her brother. She remembered the sterile smell, the anxious whispers. What if he doesn't make it? The fear had wrapped around her heart like a vice. She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. "Crystal." Victor's voice broke through her thoughts. She turned to him, seeing the concern in his eyes. "You sure you're okay?" He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. She took a deep breath. "No, I'm not. I lost someone once, someone who mattered." Victor's expression softened. "I'm sorry to hear that." There was genuine empathy in his tone. "You want to talk about it?" She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact. Neither blinked. "No." She paused, feeling the weight of her words. "Not here." Instead, she focused back on the auction. But the memories lingered. The pain was still fresh. She didn't want to show weakness. But with Victor, every moment felt different. His hand squeezed hers gently. "Just know I'm here," he said quietly. She felt a spark of warmth, but it was quickly overshadowed by the shadows of her past. The auctioneer's voice rang out, pulling her back to reality. The room was buzzing with energy, but all she could think about was trust. Could she trust Victor? Could she really let someone in? The next moment, she knew, could change everything. The next hit was closer than they knew. The bidding continued, tension thick in the air. Crystal kept her eyes on the auctioneer, but her mind was still spinning. All the chatter faded as the crowd focused on the rare painting. Victor leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "Stay sharp," he whispered. She nodded, trying to shake off the memories of the past. Suddenly, an argument broke out across the room. A man shouted, drawing attention. "That's my bid! You can't just steal it!" Crystal turned, eyes wide. Victor's grip on her hand tightened. "Stay with me," he commanded. She felt a mix of anxiety and adrenaline. This was more than she had bargained for. The shouting grew louder, and before she knew it, fists were flying. One of the bidders was knocked to the ground. Crystal instinctively flinched, her heart racing. "Victor!" she shouted, panic rising. "We need to get out of here." But Victor didn't move. He kept his eyes on the fight. "No," he said firmly. "I need to know who's involved." As the chaos unfolded, she spotted a woman being pushed back. "Hey!" Crystal yelled, stepping forward. "Watch it!" Her instincts kicked in. She couldn't just stand by. Victor's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" He tried to pull her back, but she shook him off. "Someone's going to get hurt." She pushed through the crowd, heart pounding. Just then, one of the fighters stumbled into her path. She froze, but Victor acted decisively. He stepped in front of her, blocking her from the chaos. "Get back!" he yelled, his voice booming. She felt a rush of gratitude. He was protecting her. The scene settled, and the fighters were pulled apart. Victor turned to Crystal, concern etched on his face. "You could have been hurt," he said, breathless. "You shouldn't have jumped in like that." She met his gaze, her heart racing for different reasons now. "I couldn't let someone else get hurt." Victor softened, nodding slowly. "You're brave. I respect that." In that moment, something shifted between them, a bond forged in the heat of chaos. But just as they were catching their breath, a shadow loomed behind them, and tension crackled once more. He thought he was in control. He wasn't. After the chaos died down, Crystal and Victor slipped away from the ballroom. They found a quiet balcony, the cool night air wrapping around them. Crystal leaned against the railing, trying to calm her racing heart. "That was insane," she said, shaking her head. "I didn't expect anything like that." Victor stood close, his eyes scanning the night. "You're tougher than you look," he replied, a smile creeping onto his face. She looked at him, surprised. "You think so?" He nodded, his gaze steady. "Absolutely. You jumped in to help someone. That takes guts." She felt warmth wash over her. "I just couldn't watch someone get hurt, you know." Victor stepped closer, the air thick with unspoken feelings. "That's what I admire about you," he said softly. They fell into a comfortable silence. The sounds of the gala faded away, leaving just the two of them. Crystal felt a connection forming, something deeper than desire. She broke the quiet. "Do you ever get scared?" Victor looked at her, surprised by the question. "Yeah, sometimes, but I don't let it control me." She studied him, wondering what fears lay hidden beneath his confident facade. "What about you?" he asked, leaning against the railing. "You seem strong, but I can tell there's more." Crystal hesitated, the weight of her past pressing on her. "My brother, he got sick. I was scared I'd lose him." Victor's expression softened. "I'm sorry. That must have been tough." She nodded, feeling vulnerable. "It was, but I learned not to take life for granted." Victor took a step closer, his voice low. "You have a lot of strength, Crystal. Facing those fears makes you who you are." She met his gaze, feeling the energy shift around them. "Thanks, Victor. That means a lot." There was a moment where everything felt still. Crystal felt drawn to him, like there was a force pulling them together. "Maybe we can help each other face our fears," he suggested, a hint of mischief in his eyes. She laughed softly, the tension easing. "Are you afraid of anything?" He smirked, leaning in slightly. "Only one thing, regret." Their faces were inches apart, breaths mingling in the night air. Crystal's heart raced, wondering if this was the moment. As she leaned closer, a sound interrupted them, pulling her back to reality. Someone was listening in the dark. Crystal pulled back, her heart racing. The moment had felt electric, but then a shadow shifted behind the balcony door. She turned, instincts kicking in. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice barely above her breath. Victor tensed, scanning the darkened doorway. "Yeah," he replied, stepping slightly in front of her. "Stay behind me." They listened as footsteps approached. Crystal held her breath, every nerve in her body alert. The door creaked open and a figure emerged, a man with a familiar silhouette. It was Marco, one of the men from the auction. He looked around, then locked eyes with them. "What are you two doing out here?" he asked casually, but there was an edge to his tone. Victor straightened, a hard look on his face. "Just talking. You shouldn't sneak up on people." Marco chuckled, stepping closer. "Right. Better be careful out here." He shifted, revealing a folder tucked under his arm. "You never know who's listening." Crystal's stomach knotted as she noticed the logo on the folder. It was from Victor's company. "What's that?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Marco smirked, his eyes flickering between them. "Just some interesting documents. You might want to think twice about what you're getting into, Crystal." Her heart sank. Could Victor be involved in something shady? Before she could dwell on it, Marco continued, "I'm sure Victor wouldn't want you to know everything." Victor's jaw tightened. "What game are you playing, Marco?" He stepped closer, his body language turning dangerous. Marco shrugged. "No game, just facts. You know how these things can get." He raised the folder, letting it dangle in front of them. "A little birdie told me about some negotiations." Crystal's pulse quickened. She could feel the tension building. Victor wasn't the only one with secrets. "Negotiations," she pressed, her voice firmer. "What are you talking about?" Marco smiled, clearly enjoying the moment. "Let's just say, some deals aren't what they seem. You might want to take a look." He tossed the folder at their feet. Crystal crouched down, her hands trembling as she picked it up. The sound of paper rustling filled the air. As she leafed through the documents, her heart plummeted. They were contracts, deals Victor had made. Her breath caught. "Victor," she said, looking up, "what is this?" His eyes narrowed, a mix of anger and concern. "Crystal, I can explain." But she wasn't sure she wanted to hear it. "Explain what?" She felt betrayed, her trust unraveling in an instant. The night had taken a sharp turn, and now everything felt like a lie. She was about to cross a line. Crystal felt her heart race as she looked at the documents in her hands. "Victor, what is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. He stepped closer, but she took a step back. "Don't come any closer." "Crystal, please listen," Victor pleaded. His eyes searched hers, but she felt anger bubbling up. "What do you want me to hear? That you've been lying to me?" She shook her head, almost in disbelief. "How could you keep this from me?" He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. Victor ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. "I didn't want you to get involved in my world. It's dangerous." She scoffed. "Dangerous? Or just shady? You can't just decide what I can handle." The air between them crackled with tension. She couldn't believe this was happening. She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. Marco stood back, smirking. This was bound to happen. "She's too good for you anyway, Victor. You're just a player in this game." Crystal shot him a glare. "Shut up, Marco." Victor turned sharply to him. "This isn't about you. This is between us." He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. "Is it?" Crystal shot back, her voice rising. "You've been keeping secrets. How can I trust you?" She felt tears prick at her eyes. Victor's expression softened, but it didn't matter. "I wanted to protect you," he said quietly, "but now it feels like I've lost you anyway." She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact. Neither blinked. Silence fell. They stood a few feet apart, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. "Maybe it's better if we just take a break," Crystal finally said, her voice breaking. Victor's face fell, but he nodded slowly. "If that's what you want." She turned away, the pain in her chest growing. She walked toward the door, wishing she could take back everything, but as she stepped inside, she felt the distance grow, and it felt permanent. He thought he was in control. He wasn't. Victor stood on the balcony, staring at the door Crystal had walked through. The weight of her words hung heavy in the air. He had messed up, badly. He needed to fix this. Fast. He turned to Marco, who was leaning against the railing, smirking. "You think this is funny?" Victor snapped. Marco shrugged. "You brought it on yourself, Victor. Secrets have a way of blowing up." Victor took a deep breath. He wouldn't let Marco see him sweat. "What do you want?" he asked, keeping his voice steady. "Let's talk deals," Marco replied, his tone nonchalant. "I know you're in deep with some people. You can't just walk away." Victor clenched his fists. "I don't care about the deals. I care about Crystal." Marco raised an eyebrow. "You think that'll save you? Emotion doesn't pay the bills." Victor shook his head, frustration bubbling up. "I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." Suddenly an idea struck him. "Tell me who I need to talk to. I'll fix this." Marco's smirk faded slightly. "You're serious?" Victor nodded, his jaw set. "Yeah, I'll sacrifice whatever I have to." Marco straightened, his interest peaked. "You really think you can just buy your way out of this?" "Not buy," Victor clarified. "Earn. I'll pull out of the deals, dissolve my partnerships. I won't let this ruin her." Marco leaned back, arms crossed. "That's bold. You know what that means for your power." Victor squared his shoulders. "I don't care. I'll find a way." Marco chuckled, but there was a flicker of respect in his eyes. "Guess we'll see how far you're willing to go." With newfound determination, Victor headed toward the door Crystal had left through. He wouldn't let her walk away without fighting for her. As he stepped back inside, he spotted her in the crowd, talking with one of the gala guests. Her laughter rang out, but it felt distant. It hurt. "Crystal!" he called, pushing through the throng of people. He had to get to her before it was too late. One move would change everything. Victor pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding. He spotted Crystal across the room, her laughter mingling with the chatter. She looked beautiful, but all he felt was urgency. "Crystal!" he called again, weaving around guests. He had to reach her. She turned, surprise washing over her face. "Victor?" The laughter faded as her expression shifted. He could see the hurt lingering in her eyes. "Can we talk? Please." He stepped closer, trying to keep his voice steady. Her gaze flickered away, uncertainty in her eyes. "I don't know if that's a good idea. Just give me a chance," he urged. "I messed up, and I want to explain." She crossed her arms, clearly torn. "What's there to explain? You've kept secrets. How can I trust you?" He took a deep breath, pushing through his frustration. "I promise I'll be honest this time. I never wanted to hide this from you." She raised an eyebrow, skepticism written all over her face. "Then tell me the truth," she said. "What do you want from me?" Victor stepped forward, his voice low. "I want you to understand why I did what I did. I didn't think you'd want to be part of my world. It's dangerous, and I wanted to protect you." Crystal shook her head, her frustration bubbling over. "But that's not your choice to make. I can handle my own life." He nodded, taking her words in. "You're right. I see that now. I need to let you decide what you want, but I can't just walk away from you." Crystal's expression softened, but doubt still lingered. "And what does that mean for us? Can we really have a relationship if you're hiding things?" "Only if we're honest with each other," he replied earnestly. "I won't keep secrets anymore. I'll break my ties if that's what it takes." She studied him for a moment, weighing his words. "Is that really what you want? To give up everything for me?" He nodded, determination in his eyes. "I'd rather lose it all than lose you." Crystal took a step closer, her walls slowly crumbling. "But I can't feel like a burden, Victor. I need freedom too." He looked deep into her eyes. "Then let's fight for it together. No more lies. Just us and the truth." She hesitated, but the tension between them shifted. "Are you sure about this?" she asked softly, seeking his resolve. A decision loomed between them, one that would change everything. Victor and Crystal stood close, the tension still lingering but shifting. "So, what now?" Crystal asked, her voice softer. He took a deep breath. "We take it one step at a time, together." She searched his eyes, looking for the truth behind his words. "You mean it?" He nodded. "No more secrets. Just us." A small smile broke on her face. "All right, but it's going to take time to trust you again." He smiled back, feeling hopeful. "I'll prove it to you, starting now." She hesitated, but then laced her fingers with his. "Okay, let's start over." He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. They stepped out of the gala, hand in hand. The night air felt fresh, a stark contrast to the tension inside. "I've been thinking a lot," Crystal said, "about us, about how your world works." Victor nodded. "It's not easy, but I'll keep you safe, always." She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. As they walked, Crystal glanced up at him. "What about those deals? Are you really going to pull out?" He sighed. "Yeah, I am. I'd rather face the consequences than lose you." She squeezed his hand, admiration shining in her eyes. "That's brave, but I want you to be happy too." He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. They stopped at a quiet corner, away from the crowd. "Listen, I don't want to be a burden," she said. "You deserve to chase your dreams." Victor shook his head. "You're not a burden. You inspire me to be better." Crystal smiled softly, feeling the weight lift. "Then let's build something real together." She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. As they stood facing each other, the night felt full of promise. "I'll always be here," Victor said, "no matter what." Crystal nodded, feeling lighter. "And I'll fight for us." They leaned in, sealing their new beginning with a kiss. The world around them faded, leaving just the two of them. What do you think? Can love overcome the shadows of the past? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Someone was listening in the dark,